Every day I'm hustling, 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 hustling. Every day I'm hustling, 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 every day I'm hustling.
You've asked a question that means so much to me and is something that so many of you are confused by.
This is you. You want to be rich, or at least top dog. I believe you can be rich and loaded and dripping in gold beyond your wildest dreams, but this is not the way. It is time we expose hustle culture for what it is. Fake. Here are 5 reasons not to believe the hype. 1. Hustle culture doesn't work. The promise of hustle culture is that if you do certain actions, you will get certain results.
So if you came in and made a slightly better video, a slightly better website, you can clean up off of this product and make a ton of money.
That there is a formula for success.
So you guys know I give you guys a list of winning products to start selling every single month. And this month I got some very special products on this list.
Putting in tons and tons of hours and following certain formulas like posting on Instagram or running Facebook ads.
Folks come to me and say, I can't do this, I have a full-time job. And I'm like, okay, so let's go through your day. So if you're not a tracker, you need to track though the time in the beginning. So I realized that most of my time is on the toilet. My time in a day, I mean, because I have Crohn's. And so if I'm on the toilet, there is literally no reason that I can't be following people, talking to those people, inviting those people, following up with those people.
There are so many factors not being accounted for.
When you try to duplicate a behavior, it falls apart.
Consumers are complicated and fickle, and they may like one product one week and a new product the next week. That's why dropshipping is incredibly difficult. You may be a great salesman or saleswoman with the best ads and the best website ever, but the product just isn't that appealing. Or too many people have already seen it, or the timing isn't right. The main reason why more than 90% of the people in MLMs will never make money has nothing to do with their lack of effort or willpower. Usually people get in too late when the market is oversaturated, all these different boring economic factors. But instead, we are sold a narrative that if you simply post 100,000 million times on Instagram, you will make $1,000.
If you are not producing 100 pieces of content for Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, YouTube, podcast every single day, you are leaving the greatest opportunity in the world on the table. 100.
The truth is that turning a profit is not so formulaic. 2. Hustle culture thinks people are stupid. Newsflash. People will not buy something just because it is advertised to them. Seriously. Look at Quibi.
Founded by Meg Whitman, who did eBay, and Jeffrey Katzenberger, who was a chairman at Disney during this time, only to follow it up with co-founding DreamWorks. That's how they were able to get big media companies to fund up to $2 billion for this thing.
Not only did it have these really, really impressive leaders, it had money. Lots and lots of money. It was even advertised on the Super Bowl. But it just wasn't an exciting product. People were not interested in it. Hustle culture promises that everything can be spun to gold with the right amount of hard work and financial capital. That anything can be forced down people's throats.
A boy appears at the top. He throws down a rope. The rope is made from American flags.
The girl climbs the rope. She sees her new country for the first time, and she cries.
Hard cut. Cheetos.
Wow, I love that. It's important, it's now, it's Cheetos. Yes.
Business is just as much of a soft science as it is a hard science. Social skills matter.
As a hustling entrepreneur, connecting with people is my #1 priority. The best way to do that is through social media. Face-to-face conversations they're ineffective, they're just dead. Because they don't offer me any data I can use to pixelate and later use to retarget that person with Facebook ads.
You can't just grind and think it will automatically resonate.
Whenever I meet new people on the scene, I just think, how can I use them to my advantage while convincing them that I just want to give them value and friendship?
Thinking of your audience as marks is unlikely to get you very far, no matter how many hours or dollars you spend in marketing and advertising. You can't just convince people of anything.
Am I looking at here? I don't understand.
This is a lamp with sunglasses.
Oh, I guess I did understand that.
3. Hustle culture glamorizes one-hit wonders. Forbes magazine does not celebrate investors who made good decisions, but experienced the downside of risk. Here's an example from the book The Psychology of Money. Say I buy a stock and 5 years later it has gone nowhere. It's possible that I made a bad decision by buying it in the first place. It's also possible that I made a good decision that had an 80% chance of making money, and I just happened to end up on the side of the unfortunate 20%. The world is complicated, especially jobs and marketing and making money and getting rich. There are so many factors and moving parts. It's why we can't replicate one-hit wonders in the music industry, or Nickelodeon can't make as many pop stars as Disney, or billionaires invest in businesses that fail. You can do everything right, and the results turn out all wrong. It happens, and it doesn't mean anything about who you are, your abilities, or even how bad you want it. Just because someone attractive dances on TikTok does not guarantee them the success of Charli D'Amelio. But it doesn't make them any less talented either.
Blank is about to pop out a baby and she's still adding new babes to her team. And it's a picture of the other girl on her team, and she is literally in a hospital gown. She's clearly laying on the bed. She's literally taking pictures of herself, and it said delayed surgery, so I'm working. So she
Beginners earning $100 to $700 a day with no experience. More with that after the intro.
Hustle culture teaches great lessons about hard work and consistency, but it's only telling half the story, and makes us feel guilty for not achieving results that weren't fully within our control. 4. Hustle culture is rigid. But if you want to be a breakthrough hit, you're probably going to have to carve your own path. You might have to do something different. Hustle culture is rigid. Entrepreneurship is flexible. If you want to be an entrepreneur, you need to have the freedom to experiment. Did you know that Abercrombie & Fitch started out as an outdoor goods store selling shotguns, fishing rods, and canoes? Or that Taco Bell was originally a hot dog stand? Or how about the fact that Nokia started off selling playing cards and then experimented with everything from setting up a taxi company, a hotel chain, a TV network, and a food company before finally selling video games? The problem with hustle culture's formulaic way of thinking is that it teaches us to keep going step by step forever, promising that willpower leads to results. Innovation leads to results. Creativity leads to results. Novelty leads to results.
Let's say you're working on this difficult-to-use PC. Let's say you'd rather be working on this easy-to-use Macintosh. How do you get what you're working on from the PC into the Macintosh? Like this.
The founder of Hershey's opened up a candy store in Philadelphia that failed, Then he tried again and opened up another one in New York that failed. He decided to try again and open a candy business for the third time, but this time with a twist. He would only sell caramels. And eureka! It worked. His caramel business sold for $1 million in 1900, and he expanded into shops all over the country. There's even a town, Hershey, Pennsylvania, built around his factory. Now you can buy a Hershey bar in any grocery store in America. But hustle culture would have you believe that if he kept starting new candy shops, then one was bound to succeed. That it's a numbers game. That if he kept persevering and opening new stores, then fortune would be inevitable. The truth is, he could have started a third, fourth, and fifth candy shop, and they might have all gone under. It wasn't until he started thinking creatively and developed a niche that he was able to skate past the competition. He needed to be able to adjust. He needed to be able to pivot. The problem is that hustle culture tends to resist pivots. Sometimes the best course of action is changing our course of action. We shouldn't keep doing the same things over and over and over again if they aren't getting us anywhere. The ability to recognize when something isn't working and moving on isn't weakness, it's maturity. Five, hustle culture isn't thoughtful. Hustle culture is very short-sighted and focuses only on immediately applicable skills. But some of the world's most successful CEOs and innovators develop themselves through pursuing the humanities.
And much of what I stumbled into by following my curiosity and intuition turned out to be priceless later on. Let me give you one example. Reed College at that time offered perhaps the best calligraphy instruction in the country. Throughout the campus, every poster, every label on every drawer was beautifully hand calligraphed. I decided to take a calligraphy class to learn how to do this. I learned about serif and sans serif typefaces, about varying the amount of space between different letter combinations, about what makes great typography great. It was beautiful, historical, artistically subtle in a way that science can't capture, and I found it fascinating. None of this had even a hope of any practical application in my life. But 10 years later, when we were designing the first Macintosh computer, it all came back to me. And we designed it all into the Mac. It was the first computer with beautiful typography. If I had never dropped in on that single course in college, the Mac would have never had multiple typefaces or proportionally spaced fonts. And since Windows just copied the Mac, it's likely that no personal computer would have them.
Carly Fiorina was CEO of Hewlett-Packard and the first woman to lead a Fortune 20 company. She even ran for president of the United States. She is one of the most successful, ambitious women in America, and her university degree is in medieval history and philosophy. When asked how studying the transformation from the Middle Ages helped her approach revolutions in big tech, she said, "We have, in fact, seen nothing yet." The CEO of Whole Foods took the uber-practical route of exploring philosophy and religion. I accumulated about 120 hours of electives, primarily in philosophy, religion, history, world literature, and other humanities, he says. I only took classes I was interested in, and if a class bored me, I quickly dropped it. What you can see is that these pioneers of industry didn't become who they were by following protocol. They rebelled against what was supposed to be reliable. The problem with hustle culture is that it narrows in on the destination and the end result, when the reality is that life is unpredictable, especially business. And if you want to be better prepared to weather life's storms, you should focus on developing yourself as a person. Results will come. Just don't be fooled into thinking that there is a perfect formula.